New surveillance video shows Diddy allegedly assaulting Cassie in a hotel in 2016. What does this mean? Is he over? Is he going to officially be canceled? Is he going to be charged? We're going to talk about that today. Also, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, the aftermath. Where does Drake go from here? Who won the battle? We're going to give you our opinions and more. You stay tuned and watch how we do this.
Arkatech Beatz.
What's up, everybody? It's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I'm Juggernaut.
I am Mike Drama D.
And together we make this super duper production crew group, Arkatech Beatz. If it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. Make sure you like, commenting, and subscribing, sharing with a friend. And today we're just going to get into the news today, the news cycle, which really occurred on Friday, which you already know is kind of a play because, you know, when they release news on Friday, they wanted to disappear by Monday. But CNN released a tape of hotel security footage, Diddy allegedly assaulting Cassie, 2016, chasing her down. I can't show the video, but basically the video was him chasing her in a robe, not in a robe, but in a towel down a hotel lobby, and basically assaulting her, dragging her, putting some foots and some hands on her. And this basically supports everything that she put into her lawsuit and what she was saying was happening as far as the abuse. And, you know, the internet initially was up in arms, but now I see a new narrative being spun out there about, you know, somebody was stealing from him and that's what caused the altercation. So let's get into it. What's your thoughts? Is Diddy cooked? This is really a sad situation in state of affairs.
First of all, man, that footage is horrific, man. Like that was rough to watch, man.
Yeah.
That's you know, him putting his hands on her and kicking her like that, man, like kicking her like it was like he was kicking a football. You know, that made my stomach turn, man. And like that was way
over the line, man.
Over the line, man. And I can't even imagine like what in his mind would he think that justifies doing something like that. Like I can't even imagine what he would think that it was okay for that. But you know, it also makes you really think that, like, if he did this, what else did he do, or what else did he allow? And it really paints a picture. And the internet is now going back. People are now going back, going through old statements, old videos, even records, some of the lyrics, going back between not just him, but artists he may have produced, or even an Aaron Hall record is up there, looking crazy. You know, is it over for Diddy? Yeah. I think so. I think this is it, man. I think this is where the line is drawn.
I think first, you know, when I watched the video, like I always, you know, we always try to give, you know, the benefit of the doubt, right? We knew something was up because the settlement happened so quick, and we knew that there had to be, you know, something there that might have been, you know, true, that, you know, he was trying to squash that real fast. So that's why the settlement occurred so quickly. But when I watched the video, and I was really appalled by it, and the reality of the situation is, you know, he's hitting the woman, he's dragging her down the hotel, like literally dragging her on the floor. And it's like, man, this is a billionaire, bro. Like, hey, what would make him think that he can do this type of thing, you know, as a billionaire? Like, you know, why risk everything? Why let your temper flare in such a fashion that you would risk everything doing something like this? Additionally, they said that he may have paid the hotel $50,000 to secure the footage, and this is the footage that the feds got during the raid.
Why do you keep this kind of footage around?
That's a whole another conversation. I don't really believe that narrative that the feds got this during the raid. I feel that
You think this is a copy of it?
yeah, I feel the feds had this a long time ago, and you know, I think they were just waiting for the right time for someone to come forward. And what I'm getting, and I've been kind of combing through this a little bit, no pun intended, but they were saying that he can't be prosecuted on the state levels. It's past the statute of limitations.
Right.
But it doesn't stop a federal prosecution.
Okay.
Also, if there's going to be criminal federal prosecution, then the NDA or the settlement that Cassie may have gotten is null and void. She can still testify against him and not risk the settlement.
Word.
So to me, this looks like the play, and the play is to release the footage, have it basically swing the opinion of the public
perception.
And if the public perception is loud enough, then they'll try to prosecute it because, like we've talked about this in other podcasts where we say that basically what we're noticing is that the law enforcement these days are like ambulance chasers. They chase the biggest story or the biggest thing that's going on to kind of make a name for themselves as prosecutors. So, the timing of this is kind of odd to me. Not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that the timing is just very, very, it's not, I wouldn't even say odd. It's kind of precise, the timing. Let me put it that way. Because he has that other lawsuit pending with Rod. And like all of these things are going to perpetuate settlement. You know that and I know that. Like he's not going to be able to get a fair shake even if he tried. So he's going to have to be forced to settle that lawsuit. And then anybody else that comes on now to pile on, they're going to have instant credibility because of that videotape. And and the larger issue is the violence in the tape basically demonstrates what the feds are talking about in terms of a sex trafficking charge. Because the violence is kind of tied into what they would say is violence, sex trafficking, making people do things against their will.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it paints that narrative. So is he cooked? Man, he cooked like a turkey. It's like a turkey on Thanksgiving. He's absolutely, positively cooked, like cooked. And if that video exists, that means that there's plenty more. And it's just going to start trickling itself out, man. It's Goose is cooked, bro.
What happens to the Bad Boy catalog? Is that affected in any way, you think?
Well, what happens is they want people to turn their back on the catalog. You know how it goes. They want people to cancel it like how they tried to cancel some other folks. And, they want the public to do the dirty work. Like that's the new game now, is to put the lawsuit out. Then once the lawsuit is out, then you can't really sue for like, the type of stuff that people like normally sue for. You can put this stuff out in the public record and people will take it as true. Then they'll destroy you that way. Then, the lawyers come to bleed you because that's essentially what's going to happen. And you know what we're not talking about either? And we probably should have put this in the intro because Academics is going through something similar because he just got the lawsuit for rape and defamation. And that's it's very, and he got a whole bunch of tapes with regards to that case. And I suppose that's going to leak and going to force his hand in terms of, having to settle. So like, you see what's going on, you know what I mean? But these guys are putting themselves in compromising positions. These guys are making poor decisions. And it goes back to something that you said a long time ago, that where is the manual for people to be able to handle and deal with fame and new levels of success? How do we get folks to really understand that there are just certain things that are just not acceptable? We can't move like this anymore once you get rich and famous.
I could only imagine, you're becoming a star or a millionaire at a young age when you're still learning and growing. And you know, when you're a millionaire at certain ages, you know, who's next to you to tell you yes or no? You know, who's there to kind of like, nah, you can't do that, you know, because the people that's around you, they, you know, they want some money too.
Right.
You know, they're trying to come up too for the most part, and they don't want to get the you know, the golden goose mad. So a lot of people, you know, are in these situations, they just go along with it and even hide it, or they're part of it. Because, you know, the thing with Diddy, they saying all this stuff been going on for years upon years upon years, you know, and even if you look at the R. Kelly story, it's the same thing. These behavior has been going on for years, and they've been telling us that Diddy's a gangster. Like they've been saying, oh, Diddy's really, really a gangster. Like he's really for real. And, you know, everybody kind of just, you know, gets eluded with the dancing in the video and the, you know, just the shiny suits and the whole facade. But then when you see these things come out, it really makes you think like, yo, there's a deeper story to this. There's something going on, you know. Maybe all of these allegations that we've been hearing over the years, maybe there's really something to it, even down to the Pac murder, to Biggs murder. Like maybe it's not far fetched that Diddy allegedly may be involved in some dark way or form, you know, and
Allegedly.
allegedly, right? So it just makes you look at everything that he was accused of. It makes you take another look at it, like, and let me go back and see if, you know, because if he's involved in this dark world, whether it's, you know, trafficking and all of these other things that's going on, like a lot of these dark criminal behaviors and activities, they interlinked with other kinds of organizations and different types of behavior. So, man, it's disheartening, man, because you grew up watching this guy and you know, you would
It's
feel like you're part of the music and the whole, you know.
it's so disappointing, bro, because you and I are at that age where his music is what inspired us to get into the business. Partly, you know, I remember listening to Party and Bullshit and just saying this is just incredible, and you know, all that stuff that was just coming out during that era. And this is like, you know, early 90s, you know, 91, 92, 93. And it's just like when you're looking at all of the stuff that he contributed, and it's just like, you know, because she's a little bit older than we are. And it's like, yo, if he could do it, we could do it, you know? And that's the whole thing, man. And like he inspired a lot of us. And just to see this level of, it's like a betrayal, bro. Like,
Especially coming from a fellow Black entrepreneur that you
exactly.
as the blueprint as for to be successful. Like we wanted our own record companies because of Diddy,
Yep.
and what he had going on, and we strive for a lot of success and a lot of things. Like seeing the blueprint, seeing that it could be done, you know, seeing that if you work hard and grind through this so-called shady business and making good decisions and being a shrewd businessman, but having your own flagship, you know, like it's disappointing, you know, it's disgusting, it's disappointing, it's disheartening, and at the end of the day, it's sad. It's sad for all parties. It's sad for young kids, you know, who grew up, who was watching Diddy and watching, you know, who he was, and then now this. Like it's embarrassing. Like imagine, like I could only think about his family, and something else. Now, you know, let me go back a bit. You know, you're saying that they're going back through different things, different stories. Now, Kim Porter's story is coming back to life now. Now people are digging into that to see, okay, with her death, you know, does that need to be looked at again?
Investigated, yeah.
You know, so it's you know, you asked a question earlier about billionaire doing this, and like, what are you thinking? You got all this to lose. And before that, like as a man, before a billionaire, just as a man, you know, that type of behavior is unacceptable as a man. That's number one. But
Right.
number two is like it's got to be some sort of sickness involved in that as well too. I can't think that you're a regular human being with that type of mentality and doing these things. I gotta believe that there's some sort of sickness, there's some sort of, you know, spiritual involvement in this, because why is also, we look back far enough, if you think about the artists that were on his label, like the majority of them had some really damaging circumstances, whether it's death, whether it's in prison, like just about almost all of them is not well off, and it's makes you think about what's going on over there.
And what type of environment were these
Yeah,
folks put into that caused so much death and destruction? Because you would say, you know, would his label be casted as the label that, have the people with the most issues or the most deaths? Craig Mack gone, this one gone,
yeah,
um, you know, uh G Dep just getting out of prison.
yeah.
Um,
It's a whole list full, and they definitely, bad boy had definitely has a bad stigma as far as artists being well off. I think the only ones that really escaped were pretty much like the Locks and maybe Faith and Mary, maybe.
yeah, but they we have to. It's a very very it's a very very slippery slope. I think there's a lot of things that we accept as this quote unquote music industry, rock and roll. Like we accept a lot of behavior as, oh, this is just the music industry. That's just how it is.
But entertainment as a whole, because
Yeah,
Hollywood, the things that Hollywood does
it's
to
even worse.
yeah,
And we've just accepted a lot of the behavior in the entertainment
mhm,
industry as just being normal. Like this is
yeah,
what you got to do to get on. Like this is what it is. And I think we got to reevaluate a lot of this stuff. Like some of this stuff just isn't acceptable, man. Like with him putting hands on homegirl, like I got sisters and I got daughter, man. Like that don't even,
yeah,
again, and then to me it doesn't, reflect the actions of a person who who's really, like you said, all there, and a person that really had to, earn every single dollar. Because when you're in a situation where you become more like, entitled or arrogant or narcissistic, as they say, it's like there are certain circumstances that feed that. And I just think that him over the years have just been kind of been able to, dodge all types of situations. And I just think it created a complex for him. I think he can do anything. Like I can do anything, and nobody's gonna do anything to me. I'm such and such, and nobody's gonna do nothing.
yeah.
And
Nobody can. There's literally nobody in his corner, or no mentor that's gonna tell him to stop. Like who's going to tell Diddy, yay or nay? It's interesting how 50 is now really giving him the business now. And I'm wondering, where is that coming from?
I think that's coming from, I think in 50's case, I think 50 represents the person that no one wanted to help, right? Save the Eminem. 50 represents the true story of not being selected by the industry and really fighting and clawing and running your way to the top. And I think he has a little bit of resentment for the guys that got selected, you
Mhm.
know, to be the quote unquote heads of state of the industry. I think he has a real problem with, that selection process, that he's not part of that club, that these guys get selected to be the guy. and didn't have to really quote unquote earn or go through what he had to go through to be the
Yeah,
guy.
I don't think he respects them.
Exactly. And there's no respect there for that. There's no respect for somebody who has everything kind of given to them and then is protected all the time. And, you know, I don't think he respects any of that. And he don't respect how these guys are moving. And I think he doesn't respect the fact that these guys aren't real, that these guys don't portray who they say they are.
Right.
And I think that there's a large problem with that he don't really rock with. Certain guys is not going to rock with people who ain't real. It's just not going to do it. Like and there's a lot of talk from, I know folks probably think that, she's a little bit off, but now the things that she's saying or was saying now start to ring you start to ring a little bit different with Jaguar Wright and all the things that she's alleging and who's this one and who's the worst this one. And, the other guy is, worse than Diddy. And I'm just like, I don't want to believe it, but it's like,
yeah,
it's like, I don't want to believe that, but you kind of gotta wonder, like, if this guy is in a public space with surveillance beating a woman up, only God knows what he'd do in private. Like, for real, like, only God knows what he'd do in private, bro. If he can get that worked up, that he will do that as a public figure in a bath towel in a public place in front of damn near everyone to see. I mean, anything can happen with this guy. It's crazy to think.
Do you think he has footage of various people?
Absolutely. The one thing that they talk about is, if you've ever followed the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, if you ever follow it and you say, well, what made Jeffrey Epstein rich? He didn't, they said he was managing people's money, but how? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did he get into this position? How did he do that? And people say that the way that he got into this position was through blackmail. And the blackmail was, we host these lavish parties. We get people doing drugs. We get people doing things that are inappropriate. We get it on camera. Then what happens is you're owed a favor, right? Because now you're part of this little club of people who move a certain type of way. So do I think he got people on tape? Absolutely. And I think this is part of the reason why you don't see him being prosecuted immediately. Only thing I think they're going to do to him is they're going to ruin him and probably bankrupt him. But I don't think that he's going to be prosecuted in any way or fashion. I think the power goes too high up. I think he's done too much for different political parties. I think his reach is too deep. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that anything happens to him. I'll just be honest. And I don't want, and I never wanted to use our platform to be the ones to pile on to a black man who's basically, on his way down. Like, that's not something that we want to do. It's the news, and I'm just looking at what it is, trying to look at it objectively. But if he doesn't get prosecuted, which I don't think that he will, because a lot of it is beyond the statute of limitations, I do think they're looking to bankrupt him.
Yeah. They probably told him that direct.
Yeah.
As
you're done.
They probably sat him down and they give them, that courtesy, because he's been in different rooms and shaking a lot of hands and contributed to a lot of people's different campaigns and parties and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And they probably sat him down and said, listen, you're not going to go to jail, but you're going to lose it all.
Yeah.
So it's better that than you spend the rest of your life in prison behind bars. At least you have your freedom.
It's a crazy thing, and I think also too, it's like, when you do business with certain entities, he's doing business with certain entities, and I think you see this happening with Kanye West as well. It's like, listen, you guys talk against the entities that feed you. They don't like that. So I think the whole situation when he was trying to sue the Ciroc people and everything and talk about discrimination and all of that type of stuff, I think those are the things that perpetuated what you're seeing. I think there are powers behind it that say, hey, listen, we're going to show you who's in charge, and you guys are going to have to suffer, because again, you guys don't live a clean life. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you want to kind of go against these machines, you have to make sure that your life is set up a certain type of way so that you don't have this type of stuff going on. You know, like these guys got way too much dirt, and like you said, the parties, this, I can only imagine. You know, where a lot of people know where these bodies are buried, and NDAs, they don't hold up once criminal prosecution starts. They can circumvent NDAs with that stuff. So everybody's sitting here, I know you got to be shaking in them boots because they say, oh, you got NDAs, they can't talk. They can talk if it's criminal prosecution going on.
But what's amazing is that, allegedly all of these things, I'm talking about the various allegations have been going on for over a decade.
Well, yeah, 20 years.
And for so many people to remain silent is startling. For so many people to keep quiet is kind of like, wow, like not one, not two, like,
because everybody wants to eat, bro, and everybody wants to be on the other side. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody wants to be on the other side. Like they want to be invited to the brunch. You know what I'm saying? Like you only got a few people like a 50 Cent that say fuck all that. You know what I'm saying? Like fuck all that, fuck you. I don't need to be part of that type of situation. I'm gonna create my own shit.
Yeah.
But these other guys are not on that. They don't have that type of, they don't have that type of aggression that they can say, I'm gonna do my own thing, and then fuck that, and fuck the industry, and fuck what your guys is talking about. Like not everybody's on that type of time.
I think that's a strong lesson, though. The importance of, and we preach this all the time on this platform, of just having your own. Having your own thing, not relying on somebody else's situation. Not being tied into somebody else's thing. Sometimes it's just better to be away from all that, because when the bullshit happens,
it happens.
Because it's you hear what's her name from Danny B. Kane speaking, and they're showing clips right now of when Diddy and her had an argument. Aubrey, how her name
Aubrey all day, yeah.
When they had a little argument and Diddy stood up, like being aggressive. And now everybody's kind of just, oh, look at this.
Look, we accepted that behavior as Generation X. Generation X accepted aggressive behavior. We grew up in an aggressive era.
Yeah.
Where if you want something, you got to take it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not talking about like, assaulting people like that, but like this is the era that we're raised in. We're raised in this era of, little to no parenting, mm-hmm. no real emotional intelligence,
survival of the fittest,
survival mentality, Yeah. And we looked at these people as our heroes because they did whatever it took to make it.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, it's like, we go look back at that behavior. It's not acceptable now, but and I know this is the shit that you had to do during the 80s. This is the shit you had to do during the 90s. Nobody was going to check for you if you wasn't in there bum rushing the joint and you wasn't in there beating your chest and acting crazy. Nobody was going to respect you. You know that. Like, everybody know that. Like, nobody was going to respect you if you ain't put hands on people. Like, nobody was going, like, that's how it was,
mm-hmm.
So now it's like, not saying putting hands on girls. I'm just saying in a general sense, like, you had to really defend yourself and be in that type of time.
That's how Suge Knight was winning for so many.
Exactly.
That fear that, okay, I give whatever he wants. I ain't, yeah.
Because it was basically come in and take what you want. You know how it go. So, so I don't really like the narrative sometimes with the old footage and, him, they're gonna say, oh, he was so aggressive. Yeah, he was aggressive. You don't get to where you at like that in the 80s and 90s not being aggressive. Like you don't do it. Look at 50, look at all these guys. You don't get to these points without being aggressive.
But what's even more crazier though? Like, it's not just in this industry. Like
any business.
Look, if you really want to go into it, man, it's like politics, like government, like that's a whole nother dirty game. And there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that's 10 times worse than what we're seeing in the music business.
Absolutely.
And if they was to really pull the curtain back, you know, people just would lose their mind of what goes on.
That's real talk, man. People don't want to talk about it. People don't want to talk about the especially like the New York Mafia and all that stuff during the 80s and 90s, during like the Giuliani terror and all of that, when he was running as a prosecutor and trying to take down the mob. Like, we're talking about really aggressive times, people getting killed left and right. Like, you know, so you know, when you see these things, you don't want to be like, you don't want to overreact to it, right? But because you know the era you grew in, but this era doesn't really understand that era. You have to live through it to understand that this is what it was.
But again, just make it clear that we like what his behavior was.
We're not condoning that behavior.
Yeah,
I want people to be clear that we're not condoning that behavior. All I'm saying is that, you know, they're going to take every instance of aggression,
right,
and they're going to run it against them as the narrative. Because this is what it is now. It's the narrative. Like I said, like we said before, it's going to destroy them. You know, it's going to destroy them. I hope the kids have things that they can do. I really hope that they got something. I hope that they were able to take their money and put, you know, secure their assets, because, you know, the legal fees, that's where you get bled dry. It's the legal fees. Every phone call, every fax, every email, you're going to be charged for. You know, this is how you get bled dry, you know, and
forces you to settle.
Yeah, and it forces you to settle, and what and like you know, pivoting a little bit with academics going on, you're gonna have to really, you know, he's gonna have to really not try to fight that. Like, you know, like, because what they keep saying is that, you know, yeah, the police said they're not gonna do nothing to you, but they have the right to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the one part of the government that can lie to you
to get what they want.
To get what they want. You know what I'm saying? So if your case becomes big enough, bro, they're gonna come for you. So, you know, the reality of the situation is that, you know, outside of you trying to, you know, prove your innocence, like, bro, you may just want to squash that, get her what she need, make, you know, you may not be able to make 100% whole based on the allegations, and, you know, it's a terrible situation, but they're gonna bleed you dry, bro. Like, this is the game, and I want people to really understand that if you get in trouble, the game is to bleed you through the legal system.
I mean,
that's the game.
You kind of lose either way, man. You lose either way. Like you lose either way. They could bleed you out, or then you could cop to it. You know, you can, you know, say that, hey, let's settle, and then you're admitting this and that and a third, and you get a record and all this. Like, your best bet is, man, you really got to start putting things in place so that you're not even in these positions, man. You don't want to be in any of these positions.
And look, and a lot of these guys think that because they have the footage, that this is going to exonerate them. And, you know, like, that's the thing. Like, I have the footage showing that I didn't do this and I didn't do that. But the things can be so nuanced, and depending on how people can flip a narrative, right? Because, say, for example, now we see the tape, right? We see the tape for Diddy. We see the tape. Now the narrative is that she was stealing something from him, $100,000 Rolex, you know, $100,000 in jewelry and a Rolex. That was in the bag, and that's why he chased her after that, and that's why he did what he did. But see how the narrative can be switched, right? And now you have people that'll defend that, right? So this is just the game. So when guys talk about they got cameras in their house and they got surveillance and this and that, the same thing that's supposed to exonerate you can incriminate you.
Yeah. Yep. The things that are used for your own safety can be used to prosecute you.
Right. So at the end of the day, what we said is that we need to be able to teach the young folk, like, listen, you don't even want to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even want to be with these type of, how do you know who's what? You know, what's the vetting process for you to know before you get intimate with, like, you're going to have to put these people through ringers before people get access to you. There has to be layers to this thing before people have access. People just can't have access to your home. People just can't have this. If you got boys that don't know how to act around women, they can't be in your camp if you're the cash cow.
Yeah.
They can't. They, you know what I'm saying? Like they just can't. Like you can't be around guys who don't know how to act around ladies, right? And because they think because you're in a position that anything goes. Like, come on, bro. Like we have to start having these real conversations, and guys got to really start talking about what you can and can't do, man. Like you're not supposed to have a situation where everybody got access to you. You know what I'm saying? And I understand,
You
guys.
got to protect your brand. You got to protect
Yeah,
your brand.
yeah. Like you know what I'm saying? Yes, I know guys like to talk and like this, whatever. But yo, there has to be some sort of layers and has to be some sort of process to where who really gets to who's who, and it takes time to know who's who. That's not something that happens overnight.
Right.
You know, so these guys are they're cooking themselves, you know, and they're cooking themselves is because again, no one is really giving them true game. Like once you become the guy, like once you become the person that's the cash cow, and you know you may have a camp where you that is the guy, right? That makes all of the bread, that brings in all the income. Y'all gotta protect them. Even from himself, and sometimes somebody got to be able to say, "Hey, bro,
Absolutely.
you going too hard, bro."
Y'all can't all be yes men. That shit ain't
Nah,
gonna fly.
it ain't gonna fly because it's gonna crumble, and you have to realize that there are people that prey on this. The lawyers are waiting in the wings, like who can we sue? They're waiting. They're putting
And they pass it off to their man.
yeah. They're waiting. They're waiting. Like, okay, if you, they release the tape on CNN and say, hey, if there's anybody else that got something going on, reach out. That's the game.
Where?
Let's get somebody who's not above the statute of limitations.
These lawyers and these prosecutors, they all know each other.
It's a game, bro.
It's a network.
It's a game, bro.
And they all break the bread up, and they all make decisions amongst each other behind closed doors. So
they're banking on how stupid we are. They're banking on it. They bank on how stupid we are. They bank on how the dumb decisions that we make. They banking on it. They're sitting around and they say, "Watch these dumb niggas make these bad decisions." We're banking on it. We're banking on it that half of the time you guys are going to fall because you guys can't be around no chicks. Half of the time. Like that's the real reason is that you guys didn't know how to deal with chicks before you got money. Now you got money, you don't know how to deal with chicks.
Okay.
Like that's the real problem. Like you don't know how to deal with women. You haven't dealt with women before you got money. Now you got money and you think that it's supposed to go like this.
There was an artist that said the best thing he could have done, and this is not for everyone's situation, but he found himself a strong woman and married her. And that shit kept him out of trouble. It kept him out of the strip clubs, cause all of the honey you gotta be home.
Yeah.
It kept him out of being in certain areas or certain places. It kept him out of, certain situations. And I say all of that to say, you gotta have somebody on your team. If you're not that responsible, if you're not that mature, if you don't got it together, you better befriend somebody who really is. Because you could lose it all. And the sad part is it just doesn't affect you. It affects so many others.
Yeah.
Like, man.
How many people does he employ? How many people did he employ? Like that's the thing. Like look at that. Like, look at your legacy being tarnished.
You might not even be able to put that on your resume.
Look, the legacy that you took 30 years to build, bro. Gone in an instant. Like 30 years to build that legacy, bro. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Generational wealth.
Wiped away, man. Cause you just can't control yourself. Or there's nobody to tell you, man, you tripping, bro. Like you need to relax, bro. Like for real. Like you tripping. Like that is so critical to have people on your team that really
that's a real
care for your well-being.
Yeah.
And look, even if they don't care for your well-being, at least they're supposed to care about the business. Let's say that. Yeah. Like say they don't care about you personally, but we care about the business. We care about the business enough to keep you straight so that everybody don't have to suffer because of your bad decisions. Right. I mean, I give a fuck about you, but we give a fuck about the business. Right. At least give me that. We can't not give a fuck about the person and not give a fuck about the business either. Like, come on, man. Like this is the type of shit that it drives me crazy, man. And it's so hard for us as black men to come out here and make something happen. And you know that, and I know that. Like, it's almost impossible to make something happen. And when you're one of the few people that can really cut through and make something happen, and y'all ruin it for this type of shit.
Nobody next to him says, yo, dog, you're fucking tripping. You're gonna fuck the whole shit up.
Everything, bro. Everything. You're a millionaire. You can go see anybody. You can be with anybody, bro. If this one is not acting the way you need it to act, man, you gotta just do something different, bro. Like, what's really good, bro? But listen, I want to pivot a little bit.
Yeah, man, we spent a lot of time on that shit.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on that. But you know what? Let me give a word to the sponsor before we continue. This episode of the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast is brought to you by our own ebooks: the Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration, the Musician's Guide to Music Copyrights, the Musician's Guide to Music Publishing, and the Ultimate Guide to Forming Your Own Music LLC. All of these books are really essential for artists, producers, musicians to really learn how to navigate the music industry and how to really make a living off of your art. So just make sure you go pick those up. Those are available at arkatechbeats.com. We're going to put a link in the description, and thank you guys for supporting. Drake, Kendrick, the aftermath. Was it good for the culture? Who won in your opinion? And you know, we'll talk there.
I mean, shit, it don't even matter who, you know, individual opinions are about who won, who lost. The general consensus is that Kendrick won. That's the general consensus. They're also saying Drake has somewhat bowed out in a way. You know, Punch from TDE made a statement saying it's over, great win for the culture. You know, we all can have our own opinion of who we felt was the victor, what records we liked more. And I think at this point it doesn't matter. I think that's not even the conversation, to be honest with you. The conversation really is Drake has done so much for the culture as far as music. You know, he's been giving us hit after hit. He's been on top. We've never seen an artist of this caliber dominate for this long. You know, he's giving you all sorts of music that for everybody, whether he gives you some hard records, he's giving you club records, international records. He's even went and worked with artists that nobody heard before, helped make them pop. You know, he's worked with even regular artists, artists who not really popping, but get on their records and boom, big records, big tunes, big memorable records. So he's done a lot in this run. And I kind of find it's a shame that for someone who's done so much is now being like kind of torn down. You know, everybody's kind of turning their back to him. Everybody's saying, oh, he's this and that. He's never this and that. And it just goes to show that you could do so much and everybody will still have something negative to say about you. Everybody will still, like, this wasn't a clean battle. It wasn't clean. There was a lot of mudslinging in it. And there were certain areas where it was just a little too dirty. But, you know, they say when you in a battle, you know, it's all fair in love and war, right? But that's my take on it, you know.
I second your sentiment, man. I don't like the bullshit though. You know, I don't like this whole thing where the top guy puts you guys on. The top guy puts you on tour. The top guy gives y'all features. The top guy does joint albums with you. Let's not act like the top
He don't
guy.
have to.
He didn't have to. Let's not act like the top guy did not enhance or extend your relevancy, because a lot of you guys would not have been relevant this long on your own. Your music is not that good. Your lyrics are not that good. And we see it now. Because we see the shift. Like, you guys can't get a number one to save your life if it doesn't include him. All right? If it doesn't include him, either going at him or him not on your record, you guys can't get a number one in your own without him. And that's the point. That's the point that I think is really the issue that I have with it. It's like, if these guys are going to go off and do them, but these guys are banding together trying to create this super team against one guy. Like, it don't really sit right with me. Especially when we go back and we look at the catalog and the history of the records that he helped to, keep you guys to extend those careers. We all know what the stimulus package does. Let's not act like we don't know what the stimulus package was. And for people to say that, Kendrick won, he got the stimulus package because he got to talk about the top guy. That's the stimulus package. Without getting a feature, that's the stimulus package. That's the only reason why you got so much eyes. That's the only reason why. We'll see if that translates to album sales. I don't think it will. I don't think it does.
Where does Drake go from here? Does he?
If I'm Drake, I tell Drake, fuck everybody. If I'm Drake,
meaning you don't put out music.
Everybody, fuck them.
You don't put out no music.
We're gonna make the industry starve. We're gonna show y'all how much this rap shit is on my back. This rap shit has been on my back for 10 years or better. I'm gonna show y'all this rap shit is on my back.
So you think the music business is going to suffer?
Hell yeah. And he should be, and truth be told, people will say he's bad for the culture. Where?
So what people are saying is, and I've been going through the internet a couple. They're saying, oh, he doesn't, talk about Black issues. He doesn't have a stance on politics. He doesn't have a stance for this or stance for that.
That's not what his platform is for.
His
platform is for music. Like, that's the whole thing. That's not what the platform is for. I don't think. See, this is the thing, man. People want to get on your back and tell you need to use your platform for political this, that, the third, blah, blah, blah. Like, anybody really gives a fuck. People vote for who the fuck they're gonna vote for. People gonna choose a side and they're gonna stay there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you going to take your platform and introduce your platform to people who don't really give a fuck and people who really ain't gonna do shit? Right? Why risk everything that you built for people who really don't give a shit? It's really the hot topic of the day. Y'all don't really give a shit. Like, this is what y'all talking about, but y'all don't really give a shit about this shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's going on with their lives, and they like to try to make it seem as if, Khaled should talk about this and this person should talk about that.
It's very easy to point the finger. It's very easy to sit back where you are and say this is what somebody else should be doing with what they've done or what they've created.
Exactly. And it's their platform. They should be able to do what the fuck they want.
I think what bothers me sometimes is you got broke people telling rich people how to spend their money.
It's that. That's the wildest shit. That's the wildest shit. That's the shit that sometimes that make me so crazy sometimes when I be listening to these people like, yo, can you turn $1? If I gave you $10, can you take that $10 and turn it into 1,000? And a lot of people can't do that. That's what I'm telling people. Like, hey, if you're a billionaire, that's essentially what you did. Right? You guys don't have any right to say these people are stupid or this person is this or this person should do that. Like, you don't have no skin in the game like this person. You have not sacrificed and you haven't done what they've done. But what happens is this culture has been teaching people that everybody that's successful is somehow lucky. They don't work for it. They're just lucky. They just happen to be successful. Like, you don't have a career like Drake by just being lucky. Like, you don't have a career like that. That's not luck. That's work. It's not. That's work. That's hard fucking work, man.
Yeah.
So
for making the tough decisions.
Yeah. So for people to sit here and say, oh, Like I see that shit online where people talking about we got this block list because they're not talking about the issues we wanted to talk about. Yo, let's not even get into that shit because people are always concerned about other shit, but never concerned about the shit that happened in their back door. The shit that really impact black and brown people don't really want to talk about that stuff. They want to talk about the other stuff because it's politically convenient at the time. But they don't really want to talk about the shit that go on in America for real, for real. So not to get too political, not to get too preachy on it. I don't really like all of that. You know, oh, he got to use his platform for this and he got to use his platform to that. Build your own fucking platform and do what the fuck you want with your own fucking platform. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So no music, you think, from Drake? That's it? Just sit
I
back.
say, if I'm him, I say fuck everybody.
But some may say, so just
listen. I say fuck everybody, and I say that, and I say that to the top. I say that to Lucian and all of that. I say, hey, y'all didn't get this motherfucker under control. As much as I had to do to this shit, and you still got them all talking crazy. All these guys talking crazy.
I
As
kept
much
the
shit
lights
as
on to this building.
you feel me? You let these motherfuckers drag my name through the mud with pedophilia and all that shit. Nah, bro.
So the other two things they're saying he can do is,
and I'm pulling all them features that I have from y'all before. All them records that I did with y'all, I'm pulling them.
He could put out a hit, an undeniable hit that everybody's loving and back in the clubs again, and anybody forget. Or he could use his time now and put out a real hip hop record with people like Alchemist and all of these things, are like a real record.
He's too good. He can do whatever the fuck he want. He's too good. He clearly listen. If people go back, when this is all said and done, I'm about to wrap it up. 5 years down the line, y'all gonna go back and y'all gonna listen to those records. And the record that y'all are saying won was the trendy, cool dance record. But when y'all go back and y'all really dissect the bars and the entendres and everything else, y'all gonna be like, nah. Y'all gonna really say this guy is special. Not taking anything from Kendrick. The reality of situation with Kendrick is that he just does not put out. He doesn't have the musical output. He does not put out enough albums and music for them to crown him as the guy. He can't put the culture on his back like Drake has. Kendrick can't. Kendrick hasn't broken any new artists. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't take the guy who continues to move the culture and continues to feed the culture by breaking new artists. But every time you break a new artist, you basically feed a camp of employees. So you can't take the guy that breaks all of these artists, creates factions, create movements for all of these guys. All of these guys now have their own situations going on because he helped break you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't jump on the bandwagon of the other guy who don't do that. You guys are slowing down the freight train. You guys are cutting off your own food supply. You don't even realize it. That's what you guys are doing. You guys are cutting off your food supply. You guys don't have the music acumen that he has to carry the culture on your back as long as he has. You guys don't have it. So that's the issue. Right? If you're looking at Meek Mill, he can't save you. Ross, they can't save you. They don't have the music to carry the culture on their back. They can't do it. They're done.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who I can't think of anyone.
Nobody, bro. And they're not putting on enough new artists to carry it to another generation. They can't even do that. They can't break no new artists. So how the fuck, when you take a verse from one guy and he can break every new artist, 4 bats, this one, that one, you put a verse in from this guy, he breaks them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't know who, a lot of these guys was if he didn't jump on them and give them the stimulus package. So that's the problem. So when you have a guy like that, and I know the battle is the battle, but listen, man, y'all don't respect it. Like how they don't respect LeBron until he's gone. They don't respect it until you don't realize that you witness greatness until it's fucking gone.
That's how it goes, man.
And I think that he has to remind them that this shit does not move without Drake.
That's going to be interesting to see. Like if that's the direction he takes, it's going to be interesting to really see.
Yeah. If I don't give anybody if he didn't respond to any of these guys, You think these records would have went far? If he'd have took the Jay-Z approach, and just ignored it, and say, hey, everybody wants to be at the top, but they just can't be at the top. They're not worth the time. You know, they can say whatever they want to say. If you know what I'm saying, but he's so competitive, and I give him props for that.
I give him props for that. I'll give him props for getting in the mud and saying, you know, let's do this.
But he didn't have to get into the mud.
He didn't at all,
because he validated them by getting into the mud. It's kind of like responding to that troll in your comments.
But he's a student of the game, though. I think he studies and he understands the game, you know. And I think, you know, the hip hop culture really knows that, and that's why some people are so disappointed when he doesn't do certain things. You know, when he put out the last album and we didn't get those records he wanted, that's why people are disappointed, because we're like, we know you are nice, we know we know you're a hip hop head. So that's why he went back and did those additional records, and we were like, okay, this is what we wanted.
But you know, it goes back to what Arsonist of the Heatmaker said in our other podcast. It was like, you don't go to the doctor and you tell the doctor what to do. You won't have any respect for the doctor. The doctor, I'm the doctor. I'm going to tell you what needs to be done to make you better. The fans should not be dictating this shit.
Social media has done a horrible thing for hip hop in that sense. It made everything so visible. It pulls the curtains back. You know, there's no mystique. Everything is shown how it's made. So you kind of, as an artist who looks larger than life, now you look like a mere human being, because everything is being seen. Everything is being recorded. You know, they catch you walking down the street. We got video footage of that. We got you in the studio recording. We got you asking this. We're doing this, that, and the third, just for, you know, content. And I think content has also destroyed, you know, just the mystique of an artist. You know, I don't know how he did that. You know, like, damn, that's amazing, and it kind of leaves you wondering, like, how did this artist do that? How did they put that together? And with social media now, it's just sharing and showing, and it's kind of just showing a little bit too much. So now every artist starts looking like, you know, my cousin, my brother, my sister, everyone could do this, you know.
And everyone can.
You know, and it's giving you a false idea of what it takes.
But, you know, ending on that note, social media does give everybody a false idea of what it takes to really win, right? And that's why we saw the decline in hip hop the way that we saw it over the last few years. Was because of that, was that people started to think that this shit was really easy to do. This shit is not easy to do, to get hit records. It's not. It's not easy to do, man. People think that, you know, oh, if you make a hit record, that is, you know, so if you can do it repeatedly, man, look here. That is not an easy feat, man.
But the what's even more interesting when it comes to making the hit record is that all of the factors is not in your hands.
That too.
Because you can create sonically, musically, lyrically, the right record. But then there are a whole lot of other factors that need to line up in place, from your marketing to your promotion to the day it's released, if it's a sunny day, if it's a rainy day, if it's what's happening in the world and current events, what day you release it on, who else is releasing in the time. Like, there is such a large playing field that you have to look and be able to move the pieces appropriately in order to get that hit. You know, I remember when Jay-Z dropped, and I believe he dropped on a 9/11 for one album.
Yeah.
It screwed up the sales.
Yeah, you know how it is. Like, you know, you don't have any control over that.
You don't have any control over some of these things. You know, so it takes a lot to not just create a hit, but to roll out a hit and then have a successful hit overall.
And then continue to do it over and over again.
And then repeat it, because there's so many artists that have made a hit and they have no idea of how to do it again.
Of what it took.
And these are are major label artists. Some are even legends. You know, for a variety of different things in music business. But that one thing that hit, they have a trouble with.
That's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, people. Make sure that you're following us at Arkatech Beatz. Everything Arkatech Beatz. Any parting words for the folks out there?
Yeah, man. Have your own shit.
Yeah.
Have some real ones around you that will tell you what you need to hear and not what you just want to hear. It'll keep you out of trouble, keep you out of the jams. That's it, man. That's what it's about.
Yeah, it's really about it. Like when you work really hard for what you don't have, when you earn it, you don't want it to be just taken away from you for some arbitrary decision, something silly. You know, and these things happen in the blink of an eye. And you have to remember, this is the music industry. This is what it's designed to do. It's designed to drown you in excess. That's what it's designed to do. Drown you in excess and then drain you, trying to fix the problem because you were just doing too much alcohol, too much this, too much that. Like it's too much. You have to realize that this is the industry and it's destructive. And this is what it creates. It creates a destructive situation so that people can get rich off your demise.
I always say, and I try and tell this to the youngsters out there. I always say there's nothing worse than sitting in that hospital bed, leaking, patched up, or in that cell, thinking of that moment it happened. Like that moment when you're sitting there holding yourself for whatever wounds or things that's never going to be right again, or being in that cell knowing you're not getting out and thinking back in that moment, like, if I would have just did that instead, if I would have listened, if I would have left, if I would have just, you don't want to be that person.
It happens too often, and we definitely want, people to realize that this is the music business. Again, people profit off of our dysfunction and our demise. So, we have to start doing better. But everybody out there, just make sure you guys are safe. Stay safe. Try to take it easy. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.